Hey, what is going on, guys? This is the Bogey Free podcast for the 2018 Shriners Tournament for PGA. I am your host, Evan Cheney, today joined by my regular co-host, Matt Jones. How you doing today, Matt?
Not too bad, man. We're getting after it early this week. Gonna pull back the curtain a little bit and let everybody into our process because I know I'm slightly underprepared as compared to my usual recording time. So we're just gonna rock through it. I mean, Chesson Hadley's over 10K. So what could go wrong this week?
That is the first shock. This is the first look I'm getting at prices for this week, and oh boy, we're getting something.
Got some honor bond up there. Oh my God, this is wild.
This isn't another Wednesday start, is it?
No, they're in Vegas this week. We're back.
Vegas. Oh man.
Back stateside finally. So
that's nice.
Thank God, because
I was just in Vegas. Really nice there.
Yeah, the old 21st, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, to be young again.
Oh man, yeah, it's something.
Wait till you get to my age. We've fallen apart.
I don't know about that. I mean, you're already Twitter famous as of last week.
Yeah, lucky me. All my dreams have been reached now.
That's true. That's all you need in life. All right, so we'll just get right into this thing. So yeah, we have the Shriners. What stats are you looking at for this course? What are you looking at for guys to pop out as people you might play this week?
For the most part, it's a relatively low scoring affair. Every time it's been at TPC Summerlin for the past, 7-8 years, it's been hovering around, winning score's been hovering around like 20 under. So obviously whenever that happens, greens and regulation are super important. So we're looking at strokes gained approach. About a quarter of the approach shots actually come from outside of 200 yards. So we're looking at some of that as well this week. Usually the approach distribution is pretty spread out, but there's a bit of a spike in longer approach shots. And other than that, just sort of leaning towards, distance helps, but accuracy is really important. None of the winners over the last 5 years have been outside the top 20 in driving accuracy. So that's going to factor in a little bit more than usual. Six holes between 400 and 450 yards. So we can dial into that to get an advantage. And we're sort of off to the races from there.
Good stuff. All right, so I guess we'll just jump into our 10K and up golfers first. We have Tony Finau, who is just well ahead of everyone else in the pricing department. He is at 11,700. And I don't know, is that price justified? It seems like it is based on recent performance and relative to some of these other names in the field.
Yeah, when you look through the player list, it's sort of all over the place.
Oh yeah, it's something else.
There's a couple names that I like, but for the most part, it's a typical fall player pool. Mm-hmm. Tony's been great lately, though, right? Since he sort of struggled to start the FedEx Cup playoffs, and ever since then, he's been just everything. 7th, 2nd, 26th, 11th. Like he's just been rolling lately. So I have no problem. He's 5th in my weighted model average as of right now. I'll probably add a couple more in there, but I would say that he's a pretty good shot to at least top 5, top 10 this week. But is that enough at 11,700 is always the question, right? And
he's got to win by a lot.
Since we're recording on Monday, obviously, there hasn't been a ton of content that's come out yet. So Fanshare is pretty bare at the moment. I would imagine it seems like one of these weeks where, people are going to gravitate towards the name and everybody knows Tony Finau. Most people like Tony Finau. So I would think his ownership will be reasonably high, but we never see the top price guy go like too crazy for the most part. So, it's not like he's at 8,500 in this field, then he would be like 40%, you know?
Mhm.
So outside of that, above 10K, I mean, as much as we're joking about it, Chesson Hadley is number one in my models right now.
Oh boy.
It's which is just wild. But I
Uh,
mean, the last couple weeks that he's played, he's been on fire. I mean,
yeah.
he played great at the Safeway. What was third there, and then last week, and sort of granted, it's the alternate event from the WGC, but there's still some guys that know how to golf in the Sanderson last week, and he came in runner up. So
Mhm.
really striking the ball well. He gained over 8 strokes on approach last week. Gained 4 strokes off the tee. He's been putting pretty well over his last 5. So yeah, I mean, I think it makes some sense. I'm assuming that he'll be pretty popular. I really truly want no part of Honorbahn, which I feel like every week I have a strong feeling against him. I just never get him right. So
Mhm.
take that for what it's worth. I don't really want him at all this week. I think Webb Simpson makes a good bit of sense too this week. So, yeah, I mean, it's just weird talking about these guys at these prices, but that's what you get. It's very Puerto Rico Open-ish.
That just seems to be the tournament we like to go to here.
Yeah.
Puerto Rico Open. It was a doozy, I'll give you that. Just playing around here with Fantasy National, they have this new course breakdown tool.
Yep.
It is amazing. Oh my goodness. I mean, it shows you like everything that people that have made the cut have done relative to other tournaments, what people have done to win. It's nuts.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great tool. It's literally something that I used to like pull off all the data from PGA Tour and do this myself, and it would take like a good 5-6 hours to build a spreadsheet. And now it's just like I log in and Fantasy National has everything there for me. So I've been like, this life balance thing has been going great now that I'm not just staring at spreadsheets all day.
Oh no, this thing's amazing.
I mean, they even throw in the cut line. They throw in like 3 putts, anything that you would really want to know. It's broken down, and like the strokes gain stuff is versus their finishing position. So you could do like people who missed the cut and see the difference between like just people who made the cut and guys who have top 5'd it and whatever else. So it's really great. It's definitely something to play around with if you get a chance.
Not to plug things in here, but it's quite nice. So yeah, obviously, we've talked about Tony Finau, he's definitely in one of the best spots possible. For sure. Webb Simpson, Laurie, my man Chappell, Kevin Chappelle.
Yeah, you have some conviction on him?
I mean,
I haven't seen him in a while. That's my only concern.
yeah, that's what I was about to like bring up. But other than that, given these course conditions, I mean, what he's done in the past on bent grass, he's been pretty decent there. The putting is extremely concerning, but if he can get over that, maybe he's due for a good tournament this week.
Yeah, it's possible. Like I said, that really is the only thing that's kind of holding me back, is just the idea that he hasn't played in a while. But he's he's obviously capable. He played here a couple of years ago and didn't do too well, but he was sort of in the middle of a stretch where he wasn't playing good golf, so I'm not overly concerned about that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's the best play in that range. Like I said, I'd rather pay the rest of the way up for Finau, or I'd rather just save $100 or really I'd rather save $500 and go below 10K. But I guess we'll get there in a minute. But I think you can spread yourself out here.
I mean, how are you really going to attack that top range this week? Like heavily?
I'm gonna have so much damn Cantlay and Woodland that it doesn't even matter. Like I can't. Nothing even factors in for me. It's like I'll have some exposure to Finau, probably mostly in cash. I'll throw of them through in GPPs. But for most of my, I mean, really most of my tournament lineups, I think I'm going to go with Cantlay and Woodland at the top and mix and match some guys below them. They're both popping pretty much in every model that I built, both recent and long-term stuff. So, yeah, I'm going towards them, but I don't think anybody listening to this is that surprised by me touting Cantlay and Woodland. So,
Yeah.
breaking news.
Yeah, so I think that's a good segue into our 9K guys. So you definitely we definitely established that you like Cantlay and Woodland this week. Any love for the other 4 guys here in this range? I mean, you still have Ryan Moore, Kevin Na, Byung-an, and Hoffman. I mean, any love for them? They seem to be in decent spots this week, but I don't know. Go ahead and.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Na played well the last time we saw him, right, in South Korea. He was like 10th or 11th, I think. So I don't mind that at all. It kind of stinks that we don't have a ton of data from this Asian swing in regards to strokes gained and stuff. So it's difficult to, I don't know. I think people will will either weigh Asian finishes too heavily or not heavily enough, because we don't have like that reliable data. But I'm good with Byung-han An, and I mean, I guess you can make a case for Charlie Hoffman, I would think, but I don't know. I'm not in love with that with anybody else in this range. I think Ryan Moore is just another guy who I never get right. So, and I don't have a real strong feeling on him either way. I know he did finish well. He played well in Napa. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have conviction to say like, oh, he's definitely going to come here and smash, especially at 9,400. I'm not crazy about it. So that would be my word of caution.
Okay. Yeah, unless you want to add anything else to these 9K guys. I mean, they seem pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I would think so. Wait, did I just say Byung-han An? I was talking about Kevin Na. Did I say Byung-han An? I meant Kevin Na. I don't understand. I don't know what I actually said, but I absolutely meant Kevin Na. He's 14th in my weighted models right now, and Byung-han An is 73rd. So whatever I just said, just make sure that it was Kevin Na. And if not, then that's what I meant. So
yeah,
hopefully you listened for the last 30 seconds and not the minute before that.
That's good. That's all right. So we're good there. All right. So any love for Hoffman, or can we move on to our 8K guys?
Yeah, I think he's fine as a GPP play. He obviously has the talent to perform well in a field like this for sure. I mean, he put together a great season last year for his standards, and yeah, I think he's fine in a tournament. I wouldn't go crazy on him though, personally.
All right, so that brings us to our 8K guys, where there is one name at the top of the 8K range at 8,900 that I don't think anyone wants to play, but can we play him this week? And that is Bubba Watson.
I mean,
up there at 8,900, he seems to be doing very well under these course conditions.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna tell me that it's, or I guess I told you, or I told everybody that driving accuracy is going to be important, and he's coming off of obviously a bit of a layoff, but he was not, he did not hit fairways well at the Dell. He played well at Northern Trust, but besides that, it had been, since before the U.S. Open for him to be gaining fairways on the field, which is definitely concerning. Now, it's possible that, he took his lengthy 4-week off season and, turned his accuracy off the tee around, but I'm not entirely sold on that. I think that there's some other guys in this range that make some sense. You're liking Bubba though?
I mean, he's got good numbers heading into this. He's got decent drive. If we're looking at driving this week, he's got decent driving stats, and then everything strokes gained, he looks fine. I mean, he's number one strokes gained tee to green in his last 34 rounds, given these course conditions. Um, around off the tee, he's number one. Approach, he's 17th. I mean, he's got a lot of stuff going for him, at least in the strokes gain department. And I mean, yeah, some of the recent stats might be concerning, but he does seem to be trending somewhat in the right direction.
Okay.
For lack of a better analysis of the situation. But yeah, I mean, on bent grass, green, this is what I have checked off so far, just to get to my conclusion. I have bent grass, firm greens, and average and difficult fairway difficulty.
Yeah.
And this is what I've come up with. So
okay.
he seems to be doing well under those conditions.
Yeah. I'm curious what the sample is there, like 34. How far back it goes.
We have a 34 round sample. I'll go and check.
Just because I'm looking at like I didn't filter out for any of that other stuff, and he's like 116th in strokes gained approach in the last 24 rounds. So that's why I'm concerned. But to your point, for sure, there's definitely different conditions, and if you want to narrow it down, that's definitely a selling point for him, right? I mean, if he's performing that well in those conditions that you're expecting, then absolutely he's worth a shot in a tournament. I don't know. Are you playing him at all in cash though?
Oh no.
Yeah. So I think we're on the same page then. I think that's fine.
We're on the same page there. But tournaments that's all I'm saying is that there is an argument for him in tournaments.
For sure.
That's all there is to say there. We'll move on down to guys like Kokrak, Lovemark, Laird. Any love for these guys? Cash, GPPs. I mean, you have Luke List here too, whose name has been popular in recent DFS weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I like Kokrak quite a bit. I think he's played pretty well. He did well last week, and he's had 4 out of his last 5 have been top 25 finishes, which included some FedEx Cup playoffs. So it's not like, oh, he did well at Sanderson, like that means that he's going to smash here. But against excellent competition down the stretch, he played well. So yeah, I kind of like him a little bit. I'm not really feeling Lovemark as much this week because of the emphasis that I'm putting on driving accuracy. I think he's better suited for more like bomber courses. But then I don't know. What do you think about Party Marty? I mean, he played well in California, right? He was 17th at the Safeway. And I mean, was kind of neutral off the tee, but he struck the ball well. If his putter was a little hotter, I think he could have done really well there. So any love for Marty?
Yeah, I think he's fine for cash in tournaments. He's got decent stats. He's whatever in terms of some of his recent events, but he's fine for a tournament if you want to throw that shot. He makes cuts. He's made some, he's making cuts.
Yeah. Oh, so, yeah. For that, yeah. I mean, he's always good in cash. I mean, how the guy just
he's fine.
He had a little bit of a stretch, but yeah,
he's fine in cash. GPPs, if you want to go there, I don't mind. He's just in an awkward price point. You know what I'm saying? Like 8,600 when you want to kind of get up to some of those 9K guys. Might be a little difficult. Again, if you want to go balance, there's definitely options here to do it.
And like you're saying, if it is a weird price point, that'll definitely suppress ownership. So that's always something to consider too. If you're building a lineup and you're having a hard time fitting somebody in, that means that most other people probably are as well. So that's always something to consider in tournaments, especially because you're going to get some exposure to guys well under what you think their ownership should be. If you like a play, not just to fit them in because of low ownership, but I think he's an objectively good play this week. So I'll definitely be rolling him out. And then List, I mean, 8,300 is the smash spot for him, right? I mean, we don't like when his salary gets too high, but 8,300, I don't mind here.
Yeah, the price is high enough to drive people off of him. And I don't think he's going to be chalk. Like a chalky Luke list is never good, right?
Right,
But
always.
a 5 to 10% owned, maybe 12% owned Luke list, I'm okay with that. Especially here where he ranks out pretty well and he hasn't performed terribly as of late. So
Yeah, I mean
yeah.
he top 5 the CJ Cup, and if you're talking about, obviously he's always a chance to just eject and shoot 78 on Friday and miss the cut, but
Mm-hmm.
just from a straight like upside perspective, he scores DK points like at an insane clip. Like there aren't many guys who can score the way that he does for DraftKings just because he's so volatile. Like he might end up shooting an even par round, but he'll have, 7 birdies, 5 bogeys, and a double. You know what I mean? Like
Oh
he
yeah.
still scores no matter what. So I like List quite a bit. Smiley had a good performance last week. You have last week's winner in Ryan Armour in this range also, who I think will see some ownership.
He'll see the ownership, but is he worth playing? Because I don't like it here.
Yeah, I mean, I think the price is pretty fair. I for his outcome, for his range of outcomes, I think around 8K is where he should be. Um, I won't really have a lot of exposure to him, but I'm never going to just outright fade a guy who won a tournament the week before just on like principle and momentum alone.
Mm-hmm.
Just I think it's worth having, if you make 20 lineups, throw them in one sort of deal.
That's fair. But for me, it's just not. It's not a spot I want to go to. Like I'm not excited about it at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's
What
still
about
Ryan Armour.
yeah? A guy's not that great to begin with, and it is what it is with some of these people that want to go heavy on him. What about Billy Horschel at 8K? Feeling him at all? I mean, I'm not really on it, but or Walker at 8K as well.
Yeah,
How do
I
you
mean,
feel here?
I'm curious to see where people land here. I do think that um, there's not a ton of a reason to play either of them based on how they finished last year. Um, and we say last year like it was that long ago. It was like 3 weeks ago,
Yeah.
but um, I'm not crazy about it. I'd rather find the 300 and pay up for a list. Or there's a couple guys I think we're going to get to in the high 7K to mid 7K range that I like a good bit better. So I'm probably going to be avoiding them. I mean, especially Horschel. I think you can maybe make the case um, that Walker could fit here a little bit, but I'm not. I don't think I'm really going to have any of them, to be totally honest. I think it's a rough spot for them. Um, like I said, Walker maybe fits a little bit better, but I'm not crazy about it.
Okay. I don't know. Is there anything else in this AK range you want to discuss? I don't. I think we covered everything.
Yeah, I think that hit everybody. I do like
Mhm.
Streelman for a GPP dart sort of. It's
Okay.
an interesting price for him. I'm curious to see where his ownership lands, but I think he can make somebody some money this week.
All right. Well, we'll move on down here to our 7K guys. Quite an expansive list of people, as per usual. Let's start up at the top, or whoever your favorite guy is in the 7K range.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, this is like a numbers thing, and just in my models, Seamus
Mhm.
Power is popping a bit, um,
Get on with that.
which is a little. I don't know. He's been a little bit all over the place, but I liked what I saw from him last week. If he plays even like average around the green, he's much higher in the on the leaderboard, and he ended up 18th last week. So I'm okay with that. He lost like 4 strokes around the green, which if you don't really follow strokes gained stats, like 4 strokes around the green is a ton. Like that's insane. You really can't make up that much ground or lose that much ground around the green. So if he can get that sorted out a little bit, I like him this week. Um, I think Bryson's price is interesting.
Oh
Uh,
no,
yeah, it is because
I don't want to
he's
play
been
that.
playing well.
All
He
right.
finished the year strong. He's his strokes gain approach stuff has been good as of late. He played a few weeks ago in California, and he's 7,600. And if you're gonna tell me, he's sandwiched between brand play Bronson Burgoon and Rob Oppenheim, like,
Mm,
come on. I mean, talent wise, he's got to be up there with those guys.
yeah.
So I think that there's a reasonable shot that he top 25s and pays off pretty nice at 7,600. I know you hate
Ooh.
it, but
What if I told you
oh boy.
that I prefer one guy over Bryson
Well, it depends on what guy it is.
Watney? Give me Nick Watney
Yeah.
over Bryson.
Mm.
He literally has most everything I'm looking at. There's only one stat where Bryson is over Watney, and that's off the tee. They're both fine in that regard. Bryson's 26th, Watney's 64th. But you look at everything else, Nick Watney is like so much better
He
in
was so
every other
gross at the
category.
end of the year though. Like he
This
like
takes in 2017 or yeah, 2017 as well. Like out of their last 50 rounds, again, under the course conditions that I mentioned before, they both have a 50 round sample size. Um, and Watney has just outperformed Bryson in every single category. Again, other than off the tee, which, it's one stat out of what, eight, nine? Like, you got to give Watney the edge here.
I don't know, man.
Of these
It's
two $7,600 guys, I'm not talking about
no, I know.
any other range, any other any other 1v1. Like, just out of these two guys, if you really need the savings there and whatever, Watney's fine.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to throw you a hard disagree on this one.
That's
I hate
fine. That's
Watney.
fine. We don't have to agree on everything. That's
This
not
is
the
true.
point of it. That's not the point of having two people on a show. You need some of this banter, and of course, we have our own we have our own back and forths. We have our Will Cox debates. We have a certain someone that I'll mention later on once we get to his price range debates there.
Well, I
And
think I think it's important too because there's definitely this is a price range where people are going to end up rostering, and I do
oh
think
yeah,
people need to hear both sides. So I mean I definitely get what you're saying. Just for me, I would go Bryson there, but yeah, I mean in a weird field like this, in a tournament in a sport as variant as golf is, why not? He's shown that he's capable before, so it's not like he's just some scrub off the streets. Like it still is, he's still a reasonably talented golfer. So
I mean they're all talented golfers in their own right.
most of them, some of them aren't.
All right. Let's move on to our next set of guys here. Pull this up. All right. So yeah, obviously Bryson and Watney. Let's go down here farther to 7,500 and under. Any love for most of these guys? David Lingmarth. How do you feel about him?
I like Lingmarth quite a bit. I think that he, again, is another one of these guys where it's just like down the stretch this, to end the season last year, it was sort of all over the place. So that makes me lean towards a GPP. Obviously, I don't think you go to him in cash. But he flashed some pretty good finishes last year. In spurts, he can get hot and play pretty well. So I don't mind that. I like Sam Saunders a little bit this week. He popped in a lot of my models in my recent course fit model that I put together. He was actually first, which was sort of surprising to me, given that, he hasn't exactly been a world beater over his last few events, but just what I'm weighting heavily this week, he performs well in. So I think he makes some sense. Um, I don't know, man. It's hard to really like. It's hard to love any of these guys in the 7K range. It's like a lot of the people who are popping in the models that I built are like really small sample sizes and just not necessarily people that I'm willing to be like, oh yeah, for sure, like smash spot. I don't know. Is there anybody jumping out at you in this range?
Not really. There's an interesting name here, but only because it's just a very odd name. Tom Lovelady. What? Like, how long have I been out of the loop here? Take 2 weeks off. All of a sudden, there's a guy named Lovelady here.
Yeah, I
That's
mean, he's I think he's like a couple years older than you. He's new, obviously.
I
Um,
definitely knew.
he only has these last two events that he's played
He's
sort
not.
of,
Yeah.
logged into Fantasy National. But he played well last week. He was great off the tee. He was pretty good on approach. So obviously his game is there, and he has, a pretty much free price tag. Like what's the minimum this week? 6,600. So
Yeah.
$600 over the minimum. You can't really quibble too much with that. And if he's playing well, why not, right?
Yeah. No, it was interesting to see that is like an actual name of an actual person. So that's interesting to think about. Yeah, so we get outside of that $7,200 price tag, and we go to your namesake, Matt Jones.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few guys down here that are just like they're for their talent level and their pedigree, whatever the hell you want to call it, they seem to be a little bit lower price than I would think. Like a guy like Harold Varner could easily win this tournament, right? Like this field, there's no reason why he can't. Like there's no reason why Martin Flores couldn't do well in this field. There's no reason why Scott Stallings couldn't do well in this field. Like these guys are, comparatively have enough talent and enough sort of upside at this price for me to want to play them. I mean, even I don't know. Maybe I won't say it. I want like deep down, I want to believe that Zach Blair has turned it around because of his last two results, and he's popping in my models, and 7K is free. But I don't know that I can really fully get on board with him. I don't think I'm going to be dipping down this low in most of my lineups. I think I'm going to go balanced more than anything else.
Yeah, balance seems to be the way to go.
I mean, just egregious price on Kevin Tway, by the way. Like,
where is he here? Oh, 7. Oh my,
egregious.
Makes sense.
Egregious. Now you're just being stubborn. Egregious that he is 7,000 in this field.
No, there's no rate. Yeah, you look at it. There's just no reason.
Like, I could get on board with you if he's around like Bryson, like 7,600, like Seamus Power around there. But
yeah,
like
mid 7Ks would make sense, but not this.
It's a little much
cheap.
for me.
That's cheap.
I'll be going back to the Tway well as usual.
What about James Hahn? How is James Hahn in respective to?
I think for his talent, the price is a little bit low, but I think for sort of the way that, excuse me, sorry. I think for the way that he has been sort of all over the place, outside of, the CIMB, he played pretty well. But besides that, I mean, he's been pretty bad for a while now, really since the PGA. So, again, talent-wise, you can throw a dart at him and have him in like one out of your 20 lineups, but I'm not going to go crazy on him this week.
All right. One more play I'd like to discuss before we... I don't know. Is there anyone else really in that 6K range you want to discuss? or in the
Under
sevens?
7. Not really at 7. I have a couple of dart throws down under 7K, but I'm kind of done with that the rest of that range.
Yeah, the only other player in this field that I want to say something about is my dude, Maverick McNeely.
There you go.
He has to be in play here. I don't know if he
Yeah.
has a ton of upside to be, a GPP winning guy, but he could. It's definitely in his range of possibilities, and he's decent for cash.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see what he does in this field. Like we've seen him make a couple US Open starts. He played at the Open um over at Royal Birkdale this past year, but as a PGA player, he hasn't been inside the top 40 yet. So I think that could be fixed this weekend in this field for sure. But he's got to play well starting out and make this cut because he's been sort of all over the place. Obviously, but he hasn't made that many starts yet. So maybe he finds his groove and gets there at some point. Outside of that, just a couple of random guys that popped in the models that I've been building under 7K. And again, these are not strong conviction plays. These are not cash plays. It's just for whatever reason, the samples that I pulled and the models I put together have gone this way. I think, Brian Stewart popped a little bit down here, which is kind of gross. Cameron Tringali. I'm not going to say Retief Goosen's name because that's just, I don't understand how
We
that
already
even,
did.
I don't understand how that even happened. Like, just, I don't get it, but he was there too for some reason. And then Rory Sabatini had like a really great outcome at the Wyndham, which is still like buoying his stats right now, but I don't think that lasts. I do think maybe like really thin, but there's a chance that Billy Hurley has turned it around a little bit. He was top 25 last week, and it would be interesting, at min salary for a guy with the amount of talent that he has. I think he could easily have been 7,100 and nobody would have really been surprised. So I think just at that discount, he's interesting. But that's gross. Everything else is gross down here. I'm not touching anybody else. Like I said, I'm going super balanced. Most of my lineups will probably be between like 7,600, and up, and just sort of fit in guys as I can. That's kind of where I'm at this week. Mm-hmm. Again, it's Monday afternoon, so obviously make sure that you're following along with us on Twitter. I'll have my article out sometime during the day tomorrow, and just follow along and make sure you're paying attention to how things develop during the week.
Good stuff. All right. I think that does it for us. This has been the Bogey Free podcast for Shriners with your host, Evan Cheney and Matt Jones. You can follow us on Twitter at eCheney17 and at Matt Jones TFR, respectively. And of course, if we're not winning all the money, we hope you guys do. So good luck in your contests this week.
See you.